is true success in life, when you become part of somebody else's testimony. I want to talk to you about taking your business and your life to the next level. Success in business and success in life is greatly dependent upon our ability to influence others in a positive way.
Hey, everybody. I am so excited that you're here with us today for today's show. And I've got an amazing guest with me today, and I cannot wait for y'all to hear from him. But first, I got to give him a proper intro. My buddy Eddie Villa is the newest author of Unleashed, Fired Twice, Freedom Forever. It's an amazing book. And let me tell you a little bit about Eddie. Not only is Eddie an entrepreneur, coach, speaker, but now as well a published author. And, you know, Eddie is out of Utah. He created Unleash Your Strengths as an online community to help others discover their true value and how to bring that value to the world. He has mentored, coached, and influenced thousands who needed someone to show them how to believe in themselves and their dreams. So you can check out all of his resources and programs at unleashyourstrengths.com. Eddie, as I said, lives in Utah with his wife and children. How many children you got, bro?
7.
7 children. And he is also real passionate, a fan of all things Star Wars, Marvel, Lord of the Rings, and filmmaking. So without any further wait, y'all help me welcome my buddy Eddie Villa to the show.
Thank you, brother. So good to be here.
So Eddie, man, I am so excited for you. I am so proud of you. I was blessed with the opportunity to work with you on this book, go through the whole process with you. You went through the Author Academy with me, and I'm just humbled. You know, I've helped a lot of people publish books so far, and this one's special to me, man. I'll be honest with you. I love this book. I love the content of this book. I love your story. And so talk a little bit about what, you know, becoming a published author was like for you, this experience.
You know, it's funny. I didn't know, and this is, you know, the fun things you didn't know, you know, like I didn't know it was something that I needed to do until I met you and we started talking about my story, and I realized how important it is to tell our story. And this is not because I'm so different or unique. I think every one of us has a really powerful story that we get to learn how to format in a way that is easy for other people to follow and be inspired by.
Yeah.
And so for me to say I'm a published author feels so good, but I think the most special thing about it is that it's just my story. Yeah. And thanks to you, I was able to format it in a way that makes sense for other people to follow. It's interesting, it's fun, it's helpful. My goal is always to make people laugh and cry. There's a lot of that in there. And being a person who wants to leave legacy. And I remember you said that to me, this is a legacy book. And I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. This is a book that my kids can read. And I'm like so excited that they'll read it and they'll share it with their kids. And my hope that it lives on long beyond me, because the truths that are exposed in this book are universal and they're timeless, which is awesome.
That's
so
awesome.
It feels so good, man.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. And, you know, I was listening to Miles Monroe recently, you know, when he talks about the wealthiest place on earth, you know, and the wealthiest place on earth, obviously, is the cemetery. And one of the first things he says is, you know, it's the wealthiest place on earth because buried there are books that were never written, is one of the examples that he gives. Yeah. And so applaud you, man, because the graveyard is not going to get your book because it's here. Right. So I want to jump into this with you, man, because this book is so content rich. You know, the premise of the story, obviously your story, you were a corporate guy, for many years. You jumped through all the hoops and you climbed the ladder and you invested your whole heart, soul, life, time, energy, effort, everything into that corporate environment. And you realized at one point that there was no fulfillment there. There was no joy. There was no, you realized that it was not where you were supposed to be. And I want to reference one spot here in your book, and this is really at the beginning of the book. We kind of hit them right between the eyes in the beginning, and you talk about a grassy patch. And so I want to elaborate on this a little bit for everybody, and then I'll have you tell them what it all means. But you say, with every step closer to work, the feeling got worse and worse. At this point in my walk, I came across a grassy patch, and I just stopped walking. It was a plain patch of grass that I have passed thousands of times. However, I never noticed it like this before. And a little bit later on in the next paragraph, you quote Emily Dickinson, who said, "Forever is composed of nows." What did that grassy patch have to do with that particular quote?
I spent all my time in the corporate world trying to set up the next month, right? Because what I learned in the corporate world is that you're only as good as your current month, not even your previous month.
Right.
Right? Like I could rock it in January, but if in mid-February, if I'm not rocking it again, no one cared.
Right.
Right. So I was always thinking ahead, always in the future, always planning ahead, trying to stay ahead of the game, trying to make sure that next month was going to be a good month, right? Because that's what I was going to be judged on and so on.
Right.
And because I always lived in that future, I've never really stopped to appreciate the moment. And I'm not saying that we should all do that, but in that moment, I don't know what happened. It was like, honestly, I believe God just said, "Hey, pay attention."
Right.
And so when it came to that Emily Dickinson quote, it was like, the future isn't this, cloud. It's literally a structure of moments to moments that I felt I was missing. And it was so weird that it was just a stupid, simple little clean cut patch of grass. And I guess what caught my eye is that I had seen that patch of grass thousands of times,
But never
actually stopped and looked at it.
Right.
And what it represented to me was intense.
Yeah.
And I talked about that in the book.
Yeah, it's so profound. I mean, this patch of grass, right, as simple as it may sound, is so profound because it's symbolic of what many people right now are going through in their own lives. Like that patch of grass could be, that dream that they had as a child. That patch of grass could be that person that's in their path that is in need of their guidance and encouragement, but yet they are so caught up in the day-to-day that they're not even paying attention to what's really going on around them. Relationships fail because of this. People lose money actually because of this, because they don't ever, Miles Monroe also said the cemetery was rich because, people, there were businesses buried there that were never started. Because because they never stepped out on that business idea. They just stayed an employee for their entire life. And so that business idea, was buried with them. So I think that patch of grass is phenomenal. It's one of the reasons I wanted to touch on it here. But you got out of that corporate world. You went out as an entrepreneur, specifically, went into the network marketing industry prior to becoming a coach and a leader and all of that. But you were still kind of hitting a wall. You'd got out of the corporate world. Now you were in business for yourself. I know you'd went in business with your wife, and you were still, kind of faltering. Like you weren't where you needed to be mentally, emotionally to step into your greatness. And so you talk about that in chapter 7, which is called A New Reality. And you say here that you started praying, for God to reveal to you, what the missing link was, what you needed to do. And his answer to you came in the form of a man by the name of Satima Gali. And I don't know if I said that right, but talk a little bit about Satima and what that situation was like for you.
So Satima,
Satima.
a lot of people might know him. Very popular. Used to play for the New England Patriots, and had a very powerful story. And I never heard anyone speak so powerfully and simultaneously vulnerably. Like, it's just not a thing I was ever used to, seeing a man like be so honest about their own failure and pain, but yet still be powerful. And I wanted to know how to do that. Satima woke me up, right, to the reality. Because when you say I got out of the corporate world, actually, and this is what the book is about, is I was set free by being fired twice by two different companies who were just like, you don't belong here. And when you spend your whole life trying to make your bosses happy,
right,
you forget who you are. What I did was I went to sleep. The patch of grass was hey, remember who you are, because you're asleep right now. And so when I was set free, I was still asleep. And what Satima did was woke me up and spoke so powerfully. And I would say he, along with many other little things that have happened, was like, it was like God's way of answering my prayer, which is like, I'm going to the real boss, right?
Yeah.
Instead of my boss at work, I'm going to the real boss and say, hey, I am failing at this and I need help.
Right.
And I was just like, I am open to seeing any help, that whatever it looks like, I don't care. Help me. And that was, to me, what kind of, I think, removed what I would say is like some sort of a veil, right? That kept me from seeing that the support has always been there. But now I'm looking for it, and instantaneously it started showing up.
Right.
And Satima came along at the right time. And again, it wasn't my choice, because I was never the kind of person who believed in mentors or hiring coaches. That was not my mindset at all. I honestly believe, like most of us, is that we're supposed to solve all of our problems. And I found out later how much horse manure that was. But when I was open, the package arrived in many different ways, and one of those, the most powerful one, was Satima. In fact, I just called him recently to let him know that he's in the book, and
that's awesome.
And it was so good to talk to him again. It's been 7 years, and since the day it was since he and I worked together, and told him how much of an impact he's made in my life, and he was so happy to hear from me, and it was, I love that man. I adore him. He's not everyone's cup of tea, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
But I promised him I'd send him a signed copy.
you know what's really awesome about that story as well, and I want to touch on this because I want to make sure that everybody that's listening doesn't miss this. One of the most important aspects of that story is that you reached out to God and you asked him for help, and he answered you. And I think a lot of people don't realize that what you need, what you want, if you will ask, you will receive, right? And it may not come exactly at the time you feel like you need it or want it, but it'll come in the right time, and it'll come the way it needs to come for you to be the best version of yourself, the way that God sees you. And I think a lot of people pray, man, but they don't. They pray and they just pray, but they don't realize, hey, listen, that answer is, I need to open my eyes and pay attention, because the answer might be coming. And for you, in that moment, it came in the form of Satima, which is awesome. All right, so fast forward a little bit, and we go to chapter 12. You said you're not somebody who at that back then believed in coaching, mentorship, investing in that thing, but in chapter 12, it is actually titled "Find a Mentor." And you say here on page 1, a mentor can be the example for you to follow. They can give you perspective and support, or be right with you every step of the way, guiding you and teaching you. Obviously, your mindset changed after your interaction with Satema, and you got a whole chapter on mentorship. And I know you're a coach and you're a mentor. How important is it to everybody that's listening right now, if they want to step into their greatness, if they want to go to the next level, if they want to play at a higher level than they're playing at right now, how important is it for somebody to have a mentor or a coach in their life?
Oh, how much time do we have? How important? I'll make it this simple. What I've learned, and this is part of my program and trainings, is that we are infinitely unique. That means that we are something that no one has ever been or ever will be. We've had an infinitely unique set of experiences that no one could have ever had or ever will have. And that means that who we are is something that could be of value to anyone, anywhere. But that also means that other people can have that same value for us. And it's not about developing weaknesses. It's actually about relying on other people to fill the gaps for us while we simultaneously fill the gaps for them. And what I love about mentorship is that it's the most powerful relationship you could ever take on with another human being. One where you simultaneously learn, connect, and teach. I feel like, although Satema has taught me a lot, I feel like in my life and the things that I've done, I teach him too. And in that teaching and learning relationship that he and I have, or I have with all the people that I've mentored with, or all the people that I've mentored from, we connect.
Right.
And so how important is it? To me, it's everything, because we were not meant to do this life alone. And by taking on a mentor relationship, I've experienced more joy and more creation, more connection, more creativity, more productivity. I mean, what else is there?
Right.
And this is me holding back, man. Like,
yeah, right. Well, so awesome, man. This is an extremely powerful book. I think that anybody that is in business, the entrepreneur, even if you're not in business and you're not an entrepreneur and you are still going through the day-to-day grind in your life in the corporate world, or you feel like maybe something's missing, listen, you have got to go get your hands on this book, Unleashed by Eddie Villa. Eddie, where can they go to grab a copy of this right now?
It's my favorite. It's firedtwice.com.
Firedtwice.com. That's awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm giving away signed copies right now. For the first 100 people that buy the book, they'll get a signed copy as long as they order it by the date you'll see when you go to firedtwice.com. There's a date on there. Go get a copy and I'll send you a signed copy. And it's so cool, because I just want people to be unleashed. There's so many great things that we all have inside of us.
Great title.
And it's time to let it out. Man, feels so good.
Very good, man. Great read right here, guys. Listen, readers are leaders and leaders are readers. And what you import is what you export. So put some really good stuff in your system and you'll be exporting some really good stuff back out to everybody that's watching and listening to you. Eddie, I'm so proud of you, man. I'm so excited for you. I know what, being a published author does. I know the doors that it opens and the opportunities it creates. And, it opens doors that you're not even knocking on or thinking about knocking on, and they just show up. And a lot of it is because, being a published author just really brings with it that additional credibility, and it is a legacy product. You're exactly right. Like you said in the beginning, getting your story out there and putting it in this format, it will stand the test of time. And, your kids can know who Eddie Villa was and what he stood for and what he was all about, and that is priceless. So I'm proud of you, man. I'm excited for you.
Thank you, brother.
All right. So everybody go grab a copy of Unleashed. Put it in your library. It's a good one. All right. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for spending some of your precious time with us here today. And go connect with Eddie Villa. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
That is true success in life, when you become part of somebody else's testimony. I want to talk to you about taking your business and your life to the next level. Success in business and success in life is greatly dependent upon our ability to influence others in a positive way.